What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of the 49ers Therapy Session with your host, co-host, your two co-host, 49ers First Takes, and JC Native 91, SF 91, better known as James Cowen. Uh, I'll say this, last night, James, I was in a way worse mood after I got a chance to really think about the game.
Yep.
And if we would have streamed last night, it would have been a lot of screaming and a lot of just like, a lot of emotion, a lot of like kind of unfiltered, whatever. But I'm still mad, and I've gotten a chance to sit on it. And by the screenshot or the thumbnail on the stream, I have the question. I pretty much posed the question, and I left it out there. Is the game over? Is the season done? This is Overreaction Monday. Most of the times with overreactions, it's a play here, a play there, and the Niners lose. But then we kind of calm down a little bit and we realize that they're still a really good team and they're going to be down there in January and February. But yesterday, I think, James, was a different story. I think yesterday, for a lot of us that have been kind of questioning what the Niners are this year and how they would be coming off of the Super Bowl loss, I think yesterday answered a lot of questions. And a lot of the questions that were answered weren't very positive and are not very encouraging. So how are you feeling 24 hours later?
I'm be honest, it's depressing to lose to the Chiefs again. Um, this is a team we have to beat no matter what time of the season it is, because for me, if we would have beat them, that would have been a huge step in the right direction, because even if it's a regular season game, we would have been tied with the Seahawks for first place still. We would have beat the Chiefs, which is the team we can't beat in the Super Bowl. So here's the thing. If we're 3-4, it's not looking good. But if we do get to the Super Bowl and we have to play the Chiefs again, I don't feel confident at all. Zero, nil confidence against the Mahomes and the Chiefs. I mean, it just baffles me that we still can't beat them, because the Niners of the past, we always had a team we couldn't beat, but we would finally beat them. Like the Green Bay Packers back um, with Steve Young, and he threw that past Terrell Owens right in the middle, and we finally beat Brett Favre.
Yep,
And
Dallas Cowboys, same thing.
that was a huge game, and I don't feel that with this team. I don't, I'm a huge Purdy fan, but this is the first game I can actually blame a little bit on Purdy, because he made some choice mistakes. It's also on the offensive line. So I don't feel very good after that game. Not at all. That's the one team we got to beat, because we know they're going to get to the playoffs. We know that we might go to the Super Bowl against them again. And if we can't beat them now, how the hell are we going to beat them in the playoffs?
I think right now we can just honestly say that the playoffs right now is not a sure thing. If anything, it looks like a really far away thing, that there's a good chance the 49ers don't get there this year based on what we've seen through the first 7 games. The Niners, all of us questioned them going into training camp, or maybe it was just me. I don't know. I had a thing where I just had this weird vibe based on how I wasn't able to get over the Super Bowl loss. I just felt like it psychologically kind of damaged this team. And if you watch the body language after the game, and they repeat the same antidotes about what they need to do, and having all the answers are already in the building, blah, 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 blah. You listen to Nick Bosa with his unenthusiastic ass freaking
It's
in
a
a
bunch
press
of crap.
conference.
It's just a
Yeah,
bunch
and
of crap.
Fred Warner, everybody seems like mentally they've checked out,
Yeah.
and they play like they've mentally checked out. I
Hmm.
thought yesterday the blame was across the board. You could blame everybody: defense, special teams, Purdy, Shanahan, the receivers, all of it. All of it's fair. All of it's fair. Now, I want to play a video in a little bit where I feel like some fans take it way too far based on some of the people that they choose to listen to on podcast or on YouTube, who kind of prey on this type of situation and really kind of turn 49er fans' brains into mush, where the 49ers really fans just start like pointing fingers at like one thing or one player instead of looking at it as a complete breakdown on all levels.
Yeah.
Uh, I just I
It's not just one player. It's a
no
whole it's just the whole environment we're in right now, like the whole mentality, everything we're doing. It's just we're not a winning team right now. We're not thinking about winning. I think now that I go back to, you asking me if, the Super Bowl kind of gave us a hangover, I think it did because look how we're playing. We play like crap. We look like, the Niners before we got to the Super Bowl. We don't look good at all. I mean, Fred Warner, okay, I get it. His ankle's messed up. But where was Fred Warner? I don't get it. It's like Kittle, of course, my favorite player, finally showed up against the Chiefs. He has been horrible against Chiefs. But yesterday, Kittle was the only guy playing out of that whole team. Kittle was playing because he hates that team. I can see it. He hates that team. You know how goofy he is? He was not goofy at all yesterday. He was on his game, and I was really happy about that. But it doesn't matter because the rest of the guys look like they're a bunch of idiots. I mean, they look horrible.
this team looks like it's sleepwalking through games.
Yeah,
I don't see any passion. I
there's
don't
nothing.
see. I mean, just the way that they approach tackling is something that's alarming.
That
Uh,
Mahomes run was ridiculous.
yeah, and
I mean,
everybody's
come
trying to
on.
blame it on the penalties and saying that, well, the 49ers don't want to make a penalty on the sideline, so they eased up on the play. No, the
Yeah.
49ers effort is garbage and their approach to tackling is garbage. It doesn't
Yep.
matter who it is. They were consistently on the edge, burnt yesterday in the run game on defense, no matter who it was. Uh,
Against Kareem Hunt. I mean, come on.
again, and what the funny thing is about this team that, and I keep repeating this, and I'm going to repeat this all week. They wanted an in-house guy. They wanted this guy. They wanted this defensive coordinator. Everybody blamed Steve Wilkes for the Super Bowl meltdown or the Super Bowl loss last year, and rightfully so. He wasn't that great of a mix for this team. They didn't mesh well.
Yeah.
But you got your guy. You have all these high-priced, overpaid players,
Yep.
and let's be honest, across the board, players are just underproductive. Everybody seems listless. I feel like everybody's they're waiting for another player to make the play. Like instead of being the guy that's initiating making a play, they seem like they're always waiting for somebody else because it's happened in the past and
Yeah.
waiting for somebody else to make the play. And it's infuriating to watch. I was more angry last night when I had a chance to ponder the game. When the game first ended, I was numb. I was
Yeah.
completely numb after
Yeah.
that game
Me too.
because I called that we would lose, right? But in my mind, I'm like, I think this team, we'll see where they are after this game. I think they have a shot. I mean, Kansas City's missing a lot of players here and there, but it's going to be a great barometer, a great test,
Yep.
And I mean, I picked 27-17 across the board last week, and I was right by 1 point. And
Yep.
I didn't want to be right. I wanted to be 100% wrong. I wanted people to get receipts on me. Based on yesterday, if you base your opinions on yesterday, if you base your feelings based on yesterday's performance, this team doesn't look like they're going to be playing in February, in late
No,
January.
no, not at all. I mean, they just look defeated already. And yes, it's only seventh game, but the injuries and just the play style we're doing, I think a lot that has to do with it too. Now that I think of it, is okay. We do have a lot of guys that are paid. We have a lot of ego in this team. When you have a lot of ego, you don't have that camaraderie that you should have. You got Debo, who's in his own world a lot. You got Trent Williams, who's Trent Williams.
Goes into
You know,
business for themselves during games instead of
yep.
playing for the team.
And there's no team like camaraderie, I feel, at all because I've never been in the locker room, but I can just feel that because past teams that had camaraderie, even the Harbaugh days, you could feel they had something, that was a little better than this, a lot better than this actually, even though we still lost the Super Bowl. But it's like this team is not on the same page. It doesn't matter if the wide receivers are rookies or not. They need to be going over the playbook and being on the same page. Purdy, it wasn't a great game for him at all, but you can't put everything on him either. I think a lot of it, was on him, but offensive line sucks. I mean, it just sucks. It collapses around him every game, and he has to run for his life. And that third interception, he was about to get destroyed. So yes, he shouldn't have thrown that ball, but he shouldn't be under pressure that bad. Into the same damn guy, Chris Jones, every freaking game against them, Chris Jones. Who the hell's gonna stop him? Like somebody's got to freaking stop this guy. You would think, oh, game plan: stop Chris Jones, stop Bolton, boom. You would destroy their defense. But no, we still can't stop those two guys.
To put an icing on the cake that doesn't taste very well was the fact that Brandon Ayuk is lost for the season with it looks like an ACL and an MCL, and more damage could be in there. And this is a guy that held out. Okay, this is a guy who the 49ers eventually caved into paying that they didn't want to pay. And from all the reports that were going on during the offseason, including some that said that Jed York was willing to sign off on any trade to get this guy's ass out of here. I'm not blaming him for getting hurt, and I'm not going to be that guy that's going to sit there and crap on somebody for getting injured. I mean, but he hasn't been productive. He hasn't been engaged. He looks like he's going through the motions out there, like most of the team. They look disengaged. They look unmotivated. They look broken from last season. And if you don't see that, you're blind. So now he's out for the season. Now, I'm not going to be a jerk about this, and I'm not going to say this because I'm trying to be a smart ass. But based on how he's been playing, they're not missing much right now. Do I wish him well in getting back and being healthy? Yes. The 49ers, I think, were at a point where they were done with him. Somebody had a really good tweet yesterday. Said that the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk, his opinion of himself as opposed to the opinion of what he really is, or the proof of what he really is, are two totally different things. He is a guy who isn't a number one receiver, and he's a product of being in an offense where the attention goes to other players. And when he is depended on to be the guy, to be the number one guy, he falls incredibly short of the mark on a million levels. People say, oh, he's a really good route runner. He's this, he's that. But I mean, he's been non-existent for the first 7 games of this season. And, does that have something to do with how Brock Purdy played? Yeah. I mean, this team and as a whole, we all saw yesterday, they can't get separation to save their lives against man coverage. Some of it is Purdy had his fair share of blame, and I will totally, but I'm not giving up on him. Like there's a lot of people that are quitting on Purdy, quitting on Shanahan. So I don't know. How are you? If you had to assess blame, would you consider it a team-wide thing that this team across the board is just broken, and that this is a team-wide issue? As Mickey called it in Rocky, they all have a ticker issue, like a heart issue, like they don't play with any heart. Would you? How would you go about? How do you feel about this as a whole?
Well, I mean, with the Ayuk thing, he wasn't playing with all his heart this season. So, I never wish any harm to any player, but, it's like, what was he doing? So with that, hopefully the rookie wide receivers step up. I mean, that's all we can hope. And then as a team as a whole, people are going to think I'm crazy when I say this, but, I've been saying it, and I said it on one of our podcasts. I said, if the Niners aren't successful this season, Shanahan could lose his job. Now, I get it. Everybody, don't go, oh my God, when I say this. I get Shanahan is a great offensive-minded coach. But when you lose a Super Bowl on this team that won, two, we've lost 2. But when you lose a Super Bowl and your team is imploding, and you're the Niners, which is a huge historical team, that is used to winning, your job's on the line. And I think rightfully so. I think if you can't beat the Chiefs in this regular season, how are you going to beat them in the Super Bowl? Maybe we do need a coaching change. Maybe we need something that is huge, that is going to change the whole team and just put people on their freaking toes. I don't think Shanahan's doing that this year. I think they're just used to him, and he's not really changing the game plan at all. He's not, pressuring guys to do better. I mean, yes, he does talk to players and all that crap, but I really don't give a shit about that, because it's like, what is it doing? He's great offensive mind. Okay, I've heard that for 3 years now, or 4 years, whatever it is. It doesn't mean shit if we're not beating the Chiefs. So, I mean, I'm just going to say it. I think we need to get rid of Shanahan. I mean, that's what I feel.
That's okay. That's okay to feel that way. I disagree. I think Shanahan is part of the problem, but you have to look at the landscape of the coaches that are out there, and you have to ask yourself who, if you move on from Shanahan, you have to get a coach that is better than Shanahan, who can take you over the hump. When I look at the coaching landscape, and you can't say like, oh, Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is over the hill. It's over. Yeah. Sean Payton has been shown that he's nothing without Drew Brees. If the Niners, if Jed York decided to pull the plug on Kyle Shanahan, I understand. But I think Kyle Shanahan, in a lot of ways, he's got it made, because I think Jed York is traumatized by what he did with Harbaugh. He's afraid to get rid of Shanahan, because God forbid Shanahan goes somewhere else and gets a quarterback and wins the Super Bowl, and then everybody's going to be on Jed York's ass about how he couldn't get it done with Shanahan, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to play this clip, okay? I was going to wait later. And like I said, this clip has more to do with how people overreact to what's been happening, and they start kind of signaling out certain players or a coach, and all of a sudden they're not good enough and they want to get rid of them. This is from a caller that called in on 95.7 The Game today. I had this kind of energy last night. I lost it over my night's sleep, but this guy just really kind of rips into the 49er fan base as a whole and pretty much calls us a bunch of spoiled brats. So I want to have you listen to it. I think it's a really good piece of work.
888-957-9570. Let's ride. Burns in Fremont first up. Hi, Burns. Thanks for calling.
Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh.
I too have been listening from the morning when I got to my office. This morning was listening to the morning show, the middle guys, Steinmetz and all that, and it just started boiling. The blood started boiling. And the boiling is for you spoiled Niner fans. You make me so sick. It's unbelievable. Hey, I'm pretty sure even though that nutty guy in Dallas is so nuts, he'd still probably give you Trey Lance if you want, in a heartbeat. You want Bryce Young, Niner fans? I'm sure the Panthers will take Brock. Do you think a Spencer Rattler for Brock Purdy? Saints would do that in a second. It makes me sick, Niner fan. And this is what really gets me. This is what gets me. All you dang Niner fans, oh, I don't want to give them 65. 65 million? Who cares? Give them $1 billion. It's not your money. I don't care. Give them as much money as they want. I do not care about the money. But listen, that's only part A. Part B is the coach. Shanahan, great coach. Who do you want, Niner fan? You want old man Bill? You want old man Bill coming in here and calling the shots? Look how that turned out for New England, right? I mean, give me a break. This is it. If you call in and you're done with Brock and you're done with Shanahan, tell me who you want. Because you know what, Niner fan? You're closer to Buffalo than you are to the old Niners. And that's it, man. That is it.
Burns, thank you very much for the call.
That, Burns.
That was nice. That's right. If you're going to make that kind of change, you
hit
have
that
to have
right
a better
on the
option.
freaking head, man.
That was beautiful.
We are spoiled, though.
We are.
We are.
No one's saying that you can't be critical of Kyle Shanahan. No one's saying that you can't be critical of Brock Purdy. But to want to implode this whole thing based on this season, I think it's foolish. Again, that comes down to who you decide to listen to, because there's people out there that prey on fans who are frustrated, who prey on fans that have been fed up with how we haven't gotten it done.
That's why, Aaron, this is all I do. I look at the news and I'm on here. I don't listen to any of the crap. I barely even check my Twitter because I know half of it is bullshit.
It's aggravating, man.
So my whole choice on Shanahan is just because I have a feeling that he's not respected like he used to. I just have that feeling.
I don't know if there's part of me last night watching that game, to be honest with you, James, where I felt like we've gone as far as we can go with Kyle.
Yeah.
It does cross my mind, but I'm also a fan with the brain who says, okay, if we move on, who's the best option? Who's better? If we can find that guy, if it's a college guy, Nick Saban is, maybe 20 years ago, but like, he's not a good professional football coach.
Yeah.
He's a legend in college football. Like, you have to make it's got to be either, you can't make a lateral move, because if it's a lateral move, then you might as well keep Shanahan. It has to be a coach that is ascending. I don't know. Maybe the Rams move on from McVay. That's the only guy I could see.
Yeah,
and I know that's crazy, right? How could you say that? He's the Rams head coach. Say the Rams decide to move on from him, and the Niners gave him a boatload of money. Would you take him?
I would take him. I would take him for sure.
He's got a championship. Say what you want about the Rams and how they bought a championship and they them picks. They still have a ring. Yep. We don't. We haven't got a ring in 30 years.
That's pretty much the only coach I probably would get. Him or, well, of course, Andy Reid I'd take, but I hate him. I wish Holmgren wasn't ancient, because that was probably one of the best coaches ever.
That ship sailed 15 years ago.
Yeah.
We got our guy 49er minded in the chat. Me and Bash have always, we were big on Trey Lance when it first happened, and me and him have always found it just insane that anytime the Niners struggle or go through a bad patch, all these people, including people that are friends with certain content creators that never post a damn thing, all of a sudden, Brock's not the guy. Brock can't do it. Brock this, Brock that. They say nothing last year during our run.
Yeah.
As soon as something bad happens, all these people come out of nowhere. And everybody has an opinion on Brock. Everybody's a GM. Everybody's a head coach. They know all the right answers. To me, the hate for Brock is stupid. And the fact that you're going to go ahead. I keep talking, but it just.
No, it is. You're definitely right. I wasn't meaning to cut you off. I was just agreeing that, it's true. Quarterbacks are supposed to have bad games. That's natural. Tom Brady didn't have every single game perfect. Mahomes hasn't had a perfect game. He didn't even have a perfect game.
Mahomes played below average yesterday, and they still won.
Yep. Because
that had more to do with coaching and defense. Their defense is outstanding.
Yeah, their defense is what we used to be, and
they don't have all the big names like we do either.
No,
they are schematically dominant.
Yeah,
they have a couple players on defense that are really good, but for the most part, it's
Steve
more
Spagnuolo.
Steve Spagnuolo owns Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah,
he owns him, and Kyle hasn't figured it out yet. Some other news dropped today that was pretty disappointing, and I'm not here to crap on. And I almost did. I was real upset. I thought Debo should have, trotted his ass out there yesterday and made a game for, made an effort to get on the field. But then it turns out he had pneumonia. So I'm glad I didn't tweet the things that I wanted to tweet. You just look at the things that keep piling up on this team, James, and
it's like they freaking they must have did some voodoo spell on themselves. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I just think they're broken, man. from last year. I just think they're broken. We said it last year. There you go. Bash
Yeah,
had ammonia.
they
I didn't
only,
hear from Bash for a couple months, couple weeks. I forgot how long of the time period it was. He was in the
yeah,
hospital. He had really bad. You can die from an pneumonia.
yeah,
Okay.
you can.
My dad had a viral infection that led to congestive heart failure. So that stuff ain't something to play with. So
Yeah,
I apologize if I was hard on Debo yesterday.
my grandfather
Um,
had it back in the 30s, and he was in the hospital for 3 years.
there
Back
you go.
then, they didn't have medicine, so it's not a easy thing.
Thanks for coming through, G Rod. I saw you earlier in the comments, so I'm not ignoring you. Thank you very much for coming through. Bash, of course. Thanks. Um, yeah, and to me, when it comes down to Brock, I just think Brock is unfairly criticized. Part of it has to do with some people that go overboard with their, you know, they like to label everything and say this guy's elite, that guy's elite. I don't think Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback. I think he's a pretty good quarterback. I would probably, and I know a lot of people are going to kill me for this, but if you think of Kirk Cousins, he's in that similar stratosphere. And he's like above Jimmy, maybe right around the Kirk Cousins. He has a chance to elevate and get better, but he's had some pretty bad games against some pretty good defenses. But like the comment said, every good quarterback have nightmare games against really good defenses.
Yeah,
A lot of it, like I said, it goes across the board. I mean, you have to be able to get open against man coverage. If the Niners aren't getting open and they're playing man to man and the offensive line can't block and you have a bunch of guys injured, everything, including Brock's poor performance, should be analyzed and should be, taken as a whole. Brock can't escape without criticism, but to,
yeah,
to put it only on Brock or to put it only on Kyle or to put it on this and put it on that, I think is ridiculous. You have a lot of big, high priced leaders on this defense that haven't shown up this year. Bosa, where are you at? Warner, you've had some big plays in some games, but you've also had some pretty poor play games. Uh, Jair Brown looks like he doesn't belong in an NFL football field. Javarius Ward has been MIA at points. I mean, you could look at the offense. Trent Williams, I don't know what he considered probably a Hall
this
of
is
Fame lineman, but he goes into business for himself. He doesn't care about the team. He wanted a bunch of money. He held out, and He's had some pretty piss poor performances. I mean, it's across the board.
yeah. This is the first season I've seen him get pancaked like 3 times. I mean, he got demolished on one play in that Chiefs game, and I'm like, okay, I get you're getting old, bro, but you're still Trent freaking Williams. Like, you need to freaking play, and you're right, Aaron. I mean, I think it is the Super Bowl hangover because he wasn't playing like this last year. He wasn't playing like this.
They
Nobody
also
was
didn't have a
playing
ton.
like
They
this.
didn't have a ton of. They didn't have a ton of injuries last year.
Yeah, it took a
That's why everybody talked about last year being the perfect opportunity that
and it was.
they let it go. They couldn't capture the championship last year. That
Yeah,
wasn't a great Chiefs. The Chiefs weren't a great team last year.
not like
The
us.
Niners. No, I think we were a better team across the board. I think they have better coaches as far as defensive coordinator and this, that, and the other. And they have number 15 who always makes the Niners look foolish.
Yeah,
But this team had their opportunity last year. It was their best opportunity in a long time. They were relatively healthy. They had a lot of good players, and they choked it away, just like they did in 2019. And you don't get a ton of opportunities to be in the Super Bowl. You got to take your chances and capture and cash in, as they would say, on your opportunities. And they haven't. And now we're starting to see things that happen to teams that don't win after being there multiple times, and they've been good for a bunch of years. Players are getting older. People
yep,
got paid.
yep,
People, when they get paid, sometimes they don't try as hard. They go into business for themselves. You know, uh, you have flashes from Bosa. You have flashes from Warner. You have flashes here. You have flashes there. I mean, Debo's been a non-factor other than in Seattle. He really hasn't done much this year. And then just the loss of Christian McCaffrey not being on the field. It's been huge.
yeah,
But I mean, just if you had to ask me, gun to my head, if this team's going to make a playoff run this year, I just don't see it.
No,
I don't see it.
not at
And
all.
that doesn't mean I love how people like to label people who are critical and say that they're not true fans because they've given up on the team. If you're looking at it right now, if you're looking at this team right now, and we're going to play Dallas, and then we have a bye week, and they have a big stretch of games against some really good teams. You can't seriously tell me that we're going to have a winning record by the end of it. I don't see it. I don't see how it's possible.
I think we'll have a winning record, but it's not going to be pretty like it's been the last few years with like 4 or 5 losses. You know, we're already at 4 losses. So
yeah, I mean they're not winning. They're not winning home field. That's no. Out the window.
No,
I mean that is out of the window. Detroit, Minnesota.
Detroit is the team to beat in the whole league. I'm kind of hoping Detroit, destroys the Chiefs one day. I
say that, but then now we're going to have to worry about the Detroit Lions from now on, because we had our shot last year. We beat them. They were up on us. We came back, and that dramatic NFC Championship game, and we had our chance in the Super Bowl. We were up 10 points again. We were up towards the end of the game again, and we choked it away and let Mahomes and the Chiefs win another championship again. The Niners have no one to blame for themselves across the board.
Yeah, we can't seem to stop the run right now. I mean, G-Rod, it happens when you got, what do we got? Kalia Davis and I can't think of his name.
Malik Collins.
Malik Collins. I mean, they're not elite pass rushers at all.
I thought Malik Collins played relatively well.
He did play well. He's the only one that is playing well. The other defensive tackles, I didn't really hear anything about him. But Malik Collins, he has been playing well. But it's the run's not going to be stopped with, the line we have right now. That's why the one trade I want us to make is for a damn defensive tackle. That's what we need. We need a huge freaking guy in the middle that can just take 2 guys, like Jalen Carter on the Eagles. That guy, he just could stand there and take 2 freaking offensive guards. I mean, he's that huge. That's all you need.
I just think that the Niners, if they lose to Dallas, they're not making any moves at the trade deadline. This team is 1 loss away from pretty much going and riding with the horses they got till the end of the season. I mean, why would you give up draft picks on a season? And why would you have Christian McCaffrey and Dre Greenlaw come back at the end of this season when there's absolutely no hope to make the playoffs? If that is the case, why would you do that? Why would you risk re-injuring Christian McCaffrey, blowing his Achilles out, or bringing back Dre Greenlaw when, hey, if we're losing and we're not going to make the playoffs, just sit out the rest of the season, see you next year, 2025 season, and we'll go on from there. The Niners, like this Dallas game is season deciding. People say, "Oh, it's still too early." Stop saying that. They played half their games already. They're a 500 team, not even. Yeah. So, G-Rod said shouldn't have signed an extension to
we shouldn't have.
100%. 100%. They got backed into a corner on that one and they caved.
I have to plug my laptop in real quick.
Yeah, no problem. While he does that, I just want to say in the chat, we're working out another punter as we speak. I didn't get his name because I really don't care. But the Niners are working out a punter right now. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if Wisnowski is hurt or how Shanahan's going to make Wisnowski the sacrificial lamb. Maybe he cuts him. Maybe something happens. Somebody gets cut from this team to stir up some sort of emotion. But yeah, the Niners are working out a punter.
Who's next to get hurt? Shanahan? I mean, come on. What the hell is going on, man?
No, Shanahan will be fine.
Yeah.
Special teams played like crap again yesterday. Gave up another huge return. Surprising that they've been bad all year.
Yeah.
How our special teams coordinator still has a job is beyond me.
Unbelievable.
It's like everybody's safe. Everybody doesn't have to worry about their jobs on this team. Yeah. Like most teams, if they're struggling mid-season and they have to make a change, somebody becomes a sacrificial lamb. Whether it's they fire a head coach, they they trade away a player that is disgruntled, that doesn't want to be on the team, or they cut somebody to kind of stir a little bit of like, get some emotion into some players that may be like, wow, maybe my job isn't safe either. But they've done none of that.
There's no enforcement.
Nothing.
No enforcement.
Sad thing yesterday, because of how poorly we played and how badly we got our ass kicked, was the debut of Ricky Pearsall. Little underwhelming. He had some bad routes that he ran, some miscommunications, but just to see a guy who almost lost his life to a gunshot to the chest be on an NFL football field, I thought was huge. I was really happy for him. Again, it sucks that it was overshadowed by such a piss poor performance, but I thought it was great. It was one of the few, if the only thing to come out of yesterday where I felt good about. What about you?
Yeah, I loved it. I just love this kid because he's excited to play, which I can't say about a lot of players on this team. I don't know if you saw the video of him, before they go in the locker room, they get checked or whatever for weapons or whatever. And he goes in, he's like, am I good? I'm good. I'm good. Okay. And he like ran in the locker room like, a kid chasing a lollipop. He freaking wants to be there. And that's what this whole damn team needs. We need players that want to be there. And it's pissing me off that these guys just don't want to be there and they play like shit, and they're top caliber players that can play way better than this. It's just
listening to these press conferences with Bosa.
Yeah.
And Bosa, to me, if there's one player I would like to kick in the face for being just completely just like checked out mentally and feel like he's just going through the motions and just goes up to the podium and just barely says anything. And it's the same thing every week. It's the same responses.
It's so monotone.
They say all the same stuff. They make all the same, I can't even say excuses. I love when teams say all the players, we need to do everything are right here in this building. And we know what the problem is. We just got to correct it. And it's like, dude, you're almost at mid-season and you still haven't found a way to correct things. You still haven't found a way to get better.
Throw some friggin' balls and say exactly what you mean, because none of them are saying anything that they mean. They're saying what they have to say on camera.
Pretty much. And Fred Warner is another one I absolutely get sick to my stomach listening to. Again, I'm not blaming him. The blame is across the board. Like, everybody is seriously guilty on this team, from offensive line, defense, linebackers not playing the run well, Jair Brown being liability in coverage. There's a couple players like Diamondor Lenore, Kittle, Bernardo Green. I know he got ran over yesterday, but I thought Mustafa played really well.
He did.
The he hits is very reminiscent to Deshaun Goldston and Dante Whitner. Like, he is a missile and he doesn't miss.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't miss. So I hate to put like a silver lining on a really crap season, but those are a couple positives and otherwise just.
And Cowing with that big catch. That was a nice catch by Cowen.
Yeah, they actually went deep to Cowing, and I know a lot of people got on Brock saying he underthrew it. Brock was under pressure all day.
Yeah.
That offensive line.
He was rattled.
Me and Bashar talked about it. They don't invest it in the offensive line every year. And now they're paying for it because they have all these weapons they want to get the ball to, or all these guys that they want to try to get involved, but they have no time to get it to those players. And, they're blaming Brock, saying, and here it goes. He's showing why he's a 7th round pick. He sucks, blah, blah, blah. He has a weak arm, all this stuff. And it's just like, it is across the board blame everywhere. So,
yeah. You know what I haven't seen either us do on offense is those pitches to Mason with a swing guard. We didn't do that at all in the game.
Like a pulling guard, like
like
a counter.
That play we always played and it worked. And we're not doing that at all.
The Chiefs were out ninering the Niners yesterday with all their misdirection and direct snaps and all that stuff. I don't think they
trust. Yeah, I don't think they trust Mason with the pitches. I really don't.
No, I just think the 49ers right now are a team that is broken and defeated and they still have enough talent to win, which is sad. If you look at this roster even now, it's still better than 3/4 of some of the rosters in the NFL right now,
Oh,
and we're doing less with more. So I wanted to bring up something. I want to bring up something that I don't want to ever use injuries as an excuse, because I just said that they're not an excuse. But if you take a look at this list right here, dude, this is insane.
I don't even want to see it. Oh my God.
49er
He's-
players that are injured. McCaffrey, Ayuk, Jawan Jennings is injured with his hip. You got Feliciano, Greenlaw, Matthew Wright, Talanoa Fungi, Jake Moody, Hargrave, and Yetur Gross-Matos. I mean,
That's like an all-star team right there, you know? Like that's a Pro Bowl team right there.
dude, McCaffrey, Ayuk, and Juwan Jennings were all Super Bowl starters last year. Those were Talanoa Funga before he got hurt was a starter. Javon
Yep.
Hargrave was a starter. Jake Moody's a starter. Yetur Gross-Matos was a rotational depth piece this year. Feliciano, who would probably be a way better center than Jake Brendel, who just seems to always get called for a penalty in the most crucial situations. I mean, those are all NFL caliber players, and they're all not on the field. It's again,
You know,
I'm not using it. Go ahead.
One player that is on that list that I just thought of that was probably happy he's injured is Hargrave, because he lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. And
And then he
now
lost with the 49ers. Yeah.
and now he would have lost with us too. You know, like all the other Niners, you know. Ugh.
Unfortunately, it takes a long period of time to get those injuries healed. Yeah, I just, you know, I'm not going to say that the season's over, because you really don't know, but there's nothing that has happened in the first 7 weeks that they've played that gives me any confidence that they can turn anything around.
Yeah.
I don't, it's not even a talent thing. It's an emotional, like,
It's effort.
I don't see enthusiasm. I don't see heart. I don't see a team that's like broken up over the fact that they're losing. It just seems like a bunch of guys that are burnt out, tired, and checked out already. And you just, like I said, watch the press conferences with both sides. I mean, dude, if that doesn't get you pissed off watching, I don't know what else. And then people are going to say, "Oh, you're making way too much out of it." Well, so what? That's how I feel, and I'm sticking to it. So,
Yeah.
trying to think if there's any more. Yeah, we've pretty much banged on all of it. I know one thing that a lot of people are saying, like us beating Dallas, you know, a lot of 49ers fans think it's a sure thing. I really don't think it's a sure thing the way we've been playing. That to me is the suck bowl. Instead of the Super Bowl, it's a suck bowl. It's two teams who have way too much talent that are underperforming this year.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but we're right there with the Dallas Cowboys.
And paid all the wrong people.
Yep.
They paid Dak, who hasn't done crap for him, and we paid Trent Williams and Ayuk, who aren't doing crap.
Trent Williams over the hill. Trent Williams is, you know, he does what he wants, checks out of games. The one thing about Debo that I will say that does infuriate me sometimes is the amount of times he will pull himself out of a game because he's gassed. I've never seen any player on this team ever do that except for him. And then you got Christian McCaffrey, who has to be forcefully taken out of games and wants to stay in all the time. But like I said, I'm not going to crap on guys for being hurt. I'm not going to crap on guys for being sick in the hospital. But like I said, I had a lot more anger and frustration in my heart that I wish I would have done the stream last night. But at the end of the day, you know, this was very cathartic for us to talk about. I felt this is a good thing to do, especially after yesterday. So, I mean, and I have more to do this week. I have 3 more streams. So who knows, maybe depending on who I have a stream with, they'll get frustrated and maybe they'll draw me back in. But G-Rod says Bosa really seems down and checked out, like he's tired of constant inconsistent play and underperformance. He has no one to blame but himself, G-Rod. That's the thing. Like, he could be pissed off all he wants, but dude is to blame for, you know, he's this, you know, top 3 pick, makes a ton of money, is supposed to be a game changer, and he is one of the most wildly inconsistent players on this team. He's never like you watch other guys like Myles Garrett. I know he's having a down year, so kiss my ass. But I'm saying, as a whole, Myles Garrett is one of those players. Same with J.J. Watt, where it's like every game they're constantly the guy that you have to figure out where he is on the football field. You can't honestly say with a straight face that Bosa is that guy or has been that guy recently.
No.
He had his huge sack. He had his huge sack year a couple of years ago, and he played it really well. I mean, but last year he underperformed. He came in late. He was out of shape. And this year he's hit or miss. Plays well in some games and then disappears in others. So
yeah, and it's repeating itself. Here's the thing that bothers me about this team is there's no clear motivator. There's no team player. There's no guy that's going to say,
holding a team meeting
hey,
or
you
something.
suck. I'm going to make you better by telling you suck. There's nobody like that. There's Fred Warner, maybe. He's probably the only guy that does that. But that's the only guy that I would see that would do that. Bosa's not going to say shit.
Right. All these overplayed players, I don't know if they even respond to that kind of thing anymore.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice was quoted as saying yesterday that if that was him playing on that sideline, that fists would have been thrown at teammates, different players on different parts of the team, defense and an offensive guy. Like, the fact that everybody's just so about everything. Like, where's the passion on the sideline? Where's somebody slamming their helmet, putting their fist through a whiteboard or something, breaking a tablet, a coach freaking screaming at players to get their together? Nothing.
They need to wake the fuck up.
It's infuriating to watch. It's sad when the people that buy the hats and the wall art and waste their time on YouTube and don't get paid for it are more passionate about what's going on with this team than the actual players that get paid millions of dollars. Is insane. My dad always told me, and that's why I never loved sports, he says that the players still get paid and you should never care more about it than the players. And he's right, because we get so frustrated. It ruins our week. It ruins our year. It ruins our month.
Yeah, your dad's right. Your dad's right.
It's been a tough year. It's not over yet. This could get worse.
Hey, we have a bright spot. If we win this next game and Seattle loses to the Bills, which is a huge game, I think that is one of the biggest games of the season, because if Seattle I know Geno Smith isn't great, but if they can beat the Bills, then we're in deep shit.
It's not going to happen.
But we'll see, because they're in Seattle, and Seattle does have that.
Oh, that's true. I still think Josh Allen is a really good player.
Yeah, but my buddy's going there. Actually, he's going to Seattle to watch the Bills play them. But
so glad I didn't spend money to go to the Niners-Bills game this year. Thank you, God.
Well, I did.
Me have common sense. Not happening, homie.
And we have another bright spot. I had this feeling earlier. I was like, maybe if McCaffrey does come in, everything will change. And I doubt it, but maybe. You never know.
He's one of the few players that I could see, but he's not a screaming, yelling either.
No.
He's just a hardworking guy that goes to work. He's a blue-collar lunch pail, guy that works at a steel mill, punches in at 8 o'clock, leaves at 5 every single day and busts his ass. That's the kind of guy Christian McCaffrey is. We got a lot of players on this team that are like corporate bosses in a big wig company who just sit and walk around with coffee all day and don't get their hands dirty. Yeah. G-Rod says, why does it seem like after these stars get paid big money, a lot of them never see the same? Bro, I feel like it's human nature for these athletes once they get paid to I can't say make money. What do they call it? Make business decisions. But you're right. I mean, Bosa doesn't seem the same. Debo doesn't seem the same. Kittle, I've been hard on Kittle, and I was like, we got to get rid of him. There's no way you can get rid of Kittle right now.
It's just going to get worse league-wide, because now college players get paid like they're NFL players. It's going to get even worse. Shedeur Sanders and all these guys that are getting freaking platinum rings and gold chains and all this crap when they're 17 or when they're 19.
They were getting their likeness used and people were making money off of it. I think that's gross. So
college players shouldn't be getting paid. I mean, these are still kids, It's like, I don't know. That's just how I feel. Their heads are going to be huge by the time they get to the NFL,
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like I said, we'll see. The season is still fluid. It's still happening. Niners could. I don't sound really motivated because I'm not, but I think the Niners have a chance.
Aaron, you sound like you're like trying to say it, but it's just
The Niners have a chance against Dallas to at least get a win and go into the bye week at 500, tied for the division lead. This team ain't winning. This team's not getting in the 1 seed. This team isn't, going 14-2 and whatever and stuff. It's over. Like that part's over. Zoe81 says it's completely over, and that's okay. You can have that opinion because in my heart, I kind of feel the same way. I'm trying to be optimistic because I am totally not an optimistic person. But I feel like this Dallas game is kind of their last ditch effort to kind of give a little bit of hope that maybe we can turn it around.
Yeah. Yep.
Zoe81 says we're 0-5 against the Chiefs. Thank you for reminding me of that. I wasn't sure I remembered after yesterday's ass kicking.
Last time we won was like 2014 with Harbaugh.
Harbaugh and Alex Smith was their quarterback.
Yep. Kaepernick versus Alex Smith.
Anything else, man, or we get out of here?
I think we're good.
Hey, everybody. I will see you personally tomorrow with Bash, 10 p.m. Eastern time. I will be on with Raj, hopefully on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and Al, 49ers Plus podcast on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We have a lot to talk about. I'm sure those guys might get a little, Bashar maybe gets a little fired up tomorrow on our show, and that's totally okay because I love that side of Bash. But until then, everyone, stay safe and healthy. Have a great rest of your evening wherever you are in the country, and we will talk to you later. Peace.
Go Niners.